Hi guys, and welcome back to Fairy Vlogmothers, and this week is Happily Ever After week. Now I've decided to flip this on its head and do some not so happily ever afters, and I did contemplate doing it about the villains, but instead I've decided to do a video about the original endings from the original fairy tales that Walt Disney based his movies upon. So I did some research on the internet, and some of them are really gruesome. Some of them I did miss out because I thought they were a little bit too much for this video. However, I've picked some of my favourites and I will just talk you through them. In Disney's Tangled, the movie about Rapunzel, at the ending Flynn Rider is dying and Rapunzel is trying to save him, yet Mother Gothel is trying to take Rapunzel away, so Flynn gets his sword and cuts her hair off and takes away all the magic, and then he still manages to stay alive and it's all romantic and happy. But in the original story, this is not the case. Yes, the character that is Flynn falls in love with Rapunzel by seeing her in the tower. However, in the original, after that it goes all pear-shaped. He is lured to the tower by Dame Gothel, who has cut off Rapunzel's hair and drops it down the tower to lure him in. He climbs up and is confronted by her and actually jumps out of the tower and into a bed of thorns and goes blind. Yes. In Disney's version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the prince kisses Snow White and she wakes up from her poisoned slumber. However, that's not the case in the original Grimm story. In the Grimm story, the apple piece is actually dislodged from her throat while the prince is carrying her off to his castle, even though he thinks she's dead, not sure why. But he puts her on the horse and the horse jolts around and then the apple is dislodged and that's what wakes her up. No romantic kiss in this story, guys. Then, as punishment, Snow White makes the evil stepmother dance in hot iron slippers till she dies. Not quite the sweet, innocent, naive Snow White that we see in the movie, is it? In The Little Mermaid, Prince Eric and Ariel get married at the end. She gets her feet, she gets her wish and her dream, and everything's all happy. However, once again, Hans Christian Andersen had a different idea of the tale. So basically the bargain with Ursula was exactly the same. However, when Ariel got feet, she didn't realise how painful it was going to be, and she dances for hours trying to impress Prince Eric. And it kind of doesn't work. In the end, he marries and falls in love with somebody else that isn't Ariel, and she actually dies and turns into sea foam. And did I mention she was only 15 years old? In Disney's Princess and the Frog, it is actually twisted to how the usual fairy tale goes. However, there is no kiss in the original tale. No, not at all. Basically, the prince disguised as a frog tries to beg the princess to kiss him. However, she's so disgusted by it that she chucks him against a wall, and that's what breaks the spell. Everyone knows the story of Pinocchio through the Disney version. However, Pinocchio was not a sweet little boy in the original tale. He was an absolute menace. He actually manages to get Geppetto in trouble with the police for child neglect because he runs off and doesn't listen to anything Geppetto says. He also kills the character of the talking cricket, who we know as Jiminy Cricket, and then the ghost of Jiminy Cricket comes back and tries to talk him out of his error of his ways. However, he still doesn't listen and he just carries on being a menace, and then somehow manages to become a real boy anyway. So where is the moral of the story? You act bad, you still get what you want. That's totally not right. Obviously Disney tried to give it a bit of moral. In the story of Cinderella, it is not a glass slipper. That was something Disney created. It was actually a golden slipper, which isn't much more comfortable really. But anyway, and the stepsisters actually went to new lengths of trying to fit their feet into the golden slipper. One of them chops off all of their toes and the other one chops off their entire heel, and the prince notices the blood dripping from the shoe and realises that it doesn't actually fit either of them. And then when he finds Cinderella and they live happily ever after, she actually sends birds down from the heavens to peck out her stepsister's eyes. And then in one of the weirdest ones that I have read to date, we have the Hunchback of Notre Dame. This is one of my favourite Disney movies, but now after reading this, I'm so glad that Walt Disney changed the original story because it's just weird. So in the original, Esmeralda doesn't love Quasimodo in that way, she loves him like a brother, but she falls for Phoebus, the captain of the guards. However, in this tale, because Quasimodo is so angry that Esmeralda doesn't love him, he betrays her to Frollo, who hangs her. Yeah, she dies. And then Quasimodo afterwards feels so guilty that he goes to her grave, lies in it, starves himself to death until 18 months later when somebody finds them both, and as they try to pry them apart, the dead bodies apart, he breaks up into dust. So that's it for today, guys. If you know of any other original endings, then leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to watch all the other fairies videos because I'm sure they're going to be a lot more happy than mine. You know, with the theme being happy endings. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Bye guys!